Well, good morning guys, and welcome back to another video. You'll have probably seen earlier on in the video there I'm back in the forest at Golden Ears Provincial Park. Absolute glorious morning. I've got here as early as I could when the park opens at 7 o'clock because today I'm heading down to Lower Falls. You'll have probably seen in a previous video that I went down to the waterfalls there down by the river, but there was a large flow of water coming down there, so it didn't really make any images. It's always best when you shoot waterfalls if you find that happy medium. You know, you've either got too little water or too much. So today, because we've had a hot dry period, I think the water levels should have dropped and it should be alright for an image today. Now before I head on the trail, I want to give a shout out to Adam Gibbs. He put one of my videos forward to Chris Sale to be featured on his YouTube channel as Viewer's Choice, where they were doing a season where they critique people's videos. It's really good to watch and it introduces you to new photographers like myself that aren't in the spotlight as much on YouTube, so that was great. Chris had sent us an email and said, you know, my video was going to be featured on the channel, so I give it a watch and I was over the moon with the comments and the input. That's why I want to thank Julian Baird Photography and Mally Davis for everything that they said, because everything that they said is how I want my videos to come across to the viewer. I want the video to be more of an experience, you know, introduce wildlife when I see it. So everything you said, cheers and thanks a lot. I'll put a link in the description below to their channels. You know, give them a watch. They're great photographers and a great bunch of guys. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of the morning. I need to get down to this waterfall pretty quick before we get too much light in that bit of a valley there, because it's no good if you've got harsh light on waterfalls when you're photographing, and we'll see how we get on today. Well, I've made it down to the falls here and I've had a good look about. It's quite a messy area. There's loads of deadfall. There was a bit of a steep descent when I came down here, but it's a beautiful morning. We've got bits of clouds hanging around the mountains, so that's good because it's been really bright on the way over here. So the closer I've got to the river, it has got a bit more overcast towards the mountains, so that's great because it's going to help diffuse that bright light. Now I had a look around the area. You know, there's deadfall down by the river, there's deadfall on the bank. I had a good look about and I came across these old trunks. Look at the size of them. Now, amazing for the shot when we get that nice morning light. You know, you can see now there's no harsh highlights on the trunks, and there's so much texture and colour. Really love it. You know, you've got the bends and the shapes in the old trunks there. This one leading out and the one in the background, so I'm going to take it. We should be okay for time before the sunlight gets on the falls. Now, because of that cloud, it keeps passing the sun anyway, so it's going to keep all the sunlight off the waterfalls, which you don't want when you're photographing waterfalls. So about this composition, I'm doing a wide shot first. Now you'll see how these trunks just leads down. Got all this texture and colour, and you've got a bit of a pathway that leads through the middle. You've got this tree here, and then the trunk in the centre, and this one here to your right hand side. I love the greens on this one, So I'm going to have this trail going through the centre, as you can see, and these are staggered, so this one's closer, so this is the one I'm focusing on, about a third into the shot. F14, I'm getting away with a long shutter speed because we haven't got any breeze in this area, and I've just got to wait till the lights, you know, kind of diffused by that cloud, and then grab an image before it gets too harsh. You know, it's still nice warm light, it's not too harsh yet, and on back of camera when I took the first test shot, it looks really good. The focus is dropping off just behind those trunks ever so slightly. We haven't got any breeze, so there's no movement in the trees behind, but the main focus area is this here. But I just want to do a wide shot and then a tighter shot. I'm going to also move the camera more central, so this is going to be leading up the centre and then slightly off to the right hand side where it goes down to the river. Human eye tends to read from left to right, so I've got this bit of a trail that goes in between these trunks down towards the river there. I've got it more to the left hand side. Just going to wait for this light and see how it changes. We've got a bit of a branch in the centre which adds some interest to the centre of the frame, but we've also got this old part of a log. Now some people would probably move it, but I'm going to leave it in the shot, and the reason for that is this tree is actually more orange than that tree. This tree is more green, so the fact that we've got a little splash of colour adds to this tree. It kind of ties them both together in some shape or form, so I'm just going to actually leave that there. The wonderful trees, I'm really pleased that I came across them, especially at this time of day before we get that harsh sunlight, but it just shows you, look about and you'll come across things. It's really important that you take your time and have a look about. I had to rush here because I wanted to get here before the light got too bright. You know, the park doesn't open till 7, sunrise is about 6 o'clock now. So it is getting later, so it is going to come to a point where I come to the park and I'll be able to get here before sunrise and then find my location and then just take my time. But really looking forward to seeing how these images turned out. It's a great find and they're absolute glorious chunks, loads of texture, loads of colour. I'm really pleased. Having to scramble over some rocks here, doing a bit of a boulder dash. Right, so I've made it down to the falls. We haven't got that sunlight in here too much yet, so it's going to help with taking the shot. I hope you can hear us okay, because the waterfall is quite loud, but I want to talk you through my first composition that I've found. We have got the sunlight creeping above the forest trees there, but every now and again we get a cloud and it diffuses the light, which helps with getting this shot. Now the composition that I've gone for, I've got a rock in the right hand side of the frame there. That's going to be my foreground interest, leading your eye through this scene. You can remember I said last time about having your camera tripod low as you can, to give your image a bit of depth because it alters the scene totally. The fact that the camera's low, I've got it on a rock just behind that rock there that you can see in the foreground. It actually draws your eye through this bit of a channel here that leads your eye up to the waterfall. There's a tree here on my top right, and we've got a bit of movement there, but because I'm not showing a lot of the tree, I'm not that bothered about if it's sharp or if it's slightly out of focus because of movement. Reason being is that I don't want to focus stack the image, and I like to keep texture in the waterfall. You know, if we had a lot of trees and they were quite close, then I would probably like to get them so they're sharp and they're still. But because it's only a small part of the image and the focus is going to be on the falls, I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. The main thing is to get the waterfall so it's not super silky smooth. I want to take it so I've still got some texture there. So I'm focusing on that foreground rock that you can see to the right hand side, and that's going to keep it sharp right through the shot. I put the polarizer on just to take some of the sheen so you can see more of these rocks in the water in front of you there, and that seems to be working out all right. Now I'm playing around with the shutter speeds because, like I said, I want quite a quick shutter speed, so I'm doing around about 1/5, 1/6 of a second, but it seems to be getting the image that I'm after. It's getting it nice and sharp through the shot, and I'm keeping that detail in the waterfall. So I'm going to get back to the camera and keep shooting images while this light changes, because it is going to get to the point where it's going to be on the falls itself, and that's when it becomes a little bit trickier. Well, I've got set up for my next composition here. It's probably going to be my last composition of the day, as the sun is starting to make its way quite far round now onto the waterfall. It's only when that cloud comes that it allows us to get a shot. So the shot that I'm going to take here, I'm going to take you through it now. The boulder that you could see in my last shot, in my previous shot, I'm actually standing on that boulder now. I've got the tripod as low as it can go, because what I want to do is I want to utilise more of the trees above the waterfall, and I want to use more of the water in the foreground. Now the reason for that is I find this waterfall, there's a lot of rock, there's a lot of boulders like you can see, so you struggle for colour. You know, you haven't got, it's not in between a load of bushes and flowers and trees, it's just like one big slab of rock. So what I want to do is incorporate the trees and this water below with the rocks that you can see through the water, because they actually complement each other. It adds some colour to the scene. So similar composition to me last, slightly closer forward. I'm going to focus a third into the shot on the rock on the left hand side that you can see. Now I'm getting round about a 1/5 of a second, and sometimes quicker, so I'm just keep trying out my shutter speeds and until I get an image that I'm happy with. Well, it's that time of day, guys. I've got to head back now. I'm making my way back up into the forest up this steep trail that you can see. But I've had a wonderful morning. It's been great to come across new subjects to photograph. You know, I did have the intentions just to go down the river and check the waterfall out, but we came across those 3 trunks And what a find that was in an area like this, because there's so much deadfall and shrubbery and old trees. I'm really surprised that I came across it. We've got a couple of compositions. The last composition I had to wait for a while because the cloud's getting less and less because the sun's getting higher up. But we eventually got some cloud, so it got to show you how you can incorporate colours in other ways if you haven't got growth around the waterfall that you're photographing. So what I'd simply done was I had the top half of the frame with the forest, then I had the waterfall in the centre, and then we had the water in the foreground there, and you could see the rocks, and it was the same colour as the forest. It was slightly green, so it turned out a really nice shot. But it's time to head back, and I want to thank all my new subscribers for subscribing and welcome to my channel. I really appreciate it. I've been reading all the comments, and it really does encourage us to do more, and I'm enjoying the fact that people are enjoying my content, so that's always good. But it's time for us to head back to Vancouver now, so make my way up this steep trail back towards the car, and we'll get out again sometime again soon. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.